Our next guest is the host of Mancow's Morning Madhouse. That show is broadcast on over 70 terrestrial radio stations nationwide. Mancow is rated the number 9 guy on Talkers Magazine Heavy 100. He is on the FCC's most wanted list, and he promised to be a friend of the show today. I promise not to kill him, but this is going to be radio waterboarding right here live. Mancow, thanks for joining us.
Oh, my God. Actually, I think I moved up to number 8 now that Paul Harvey died.
Well, that's one way to get there. Were you responsible for that in any way?
He was in Chicago and his studio was down the hall. I actually have some of his studio stuff that I moved in. That was the biggest radio star of all time. There was nobody bigger than Paul Harvey. I mean, that guy made more money. Forget Rush, forget Stern, forget the golden era of radio. Paul Harvey, and he worked down the hall.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a little out of my age range, but you're an old man, so you would. I mean, but there's a conspiracy there. You bumped him off to move up on the talker because you got to be on the Talkers Mag Heavy 100. I'm never going to be on that Mancow, as you know.
Well, I don't know what it does for me, but yeah, I am there. You brought it up. Yeah, no, it's he was down the hall. I used to see him. They'd feed him. They would feed him. They would give him a soup before he went on. I think he's been dead for many years, but
Mancow, one of the things I wanted to bring up on the program today, I mentioned radio waterboarding. It's just, I guess, funny because everybody gets waterboarded on this show one way or another. But you actually got waterboarded, and I always wanted to ask you about that. We didn't have time to talk about it much last month, but go through that with us. What possessed you to do that, and what was it like?
Man, I mean, it's a huge, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, I guess. It's such a huge story for me, but quickly, I'm a libertarian. I want to be left alone. I believe in the individual. I am an Ayn Rand follower, even though she hated libertarians. I am kind of like the prisoner, I guess, from the TV show The Prisoner. I fight, as you do, against the collective. However, when it comes to saving my kids or your kids or, I don't know, I just didn't think it was any big deal waterboarding one of these crazies. I've been throughout the Middle East. They say exactly what they're going to do. We come here and no, they're just like us. We're all the same, men and women. Every religion's the same. There's no differences. Working in big corporate radio, diversity is they get everybody, they put them in cubicles and tell them to think exactly alike. If you actually look up the word diversity, it's pretty hard to motivate a lot of people that don't think alike. Although I celebrate the differences. I don't know where to go with this except that I did not think that waterboarding was torture. And I thought, well, you can hold your breath. And I could hold my breath. It's water in the nose. You hold your breath, and I'm sure that's what some of your listeners think. And it's what I set out to prove.
Right.
And I was wrong.
It looked like a pretty easy stunt going in. You could prove it and say, okay, well, I did it, and it's not that big of a deal. I mean, obviously, we're going to have a major difference of opinion on some of that, but you went and did it. So I got to at least congratulate you for. I like to see Cheney and others try it, of course, as well. But you went and did it. And how long did it take before you were crying like a baby?
Well, I mean, let me set this up a little bit because it's very interesting. Having done it, everyone immediately hated me that didn't necessarily hate me before, and I'm talking the left and the right. You have to understand that whether we're talking about Cheney or Pelosi or everyone, Harry Reid, these guys all knew. Hillary, they all signed off on it. They don't want it to be classified as torture. Now, they'll say it's bad if it means getting Bush out of office. They'll say it's bad if it means they get more power. But I set out to prove that it was not torture. Some people on the Internet and others have said, oh, well, he didn't do it the official blah, blah, blah. His body was not at this exact angle, and he didn't have a black hood. And the CIA describes waterboarding as head back, water down the nose and the mouth. What I didn't understand is it's not water. It doesn't matter if you hold your breath. Your lungs are down. Your head, that's the back of your skull. What happened is the water went back into my nose, in through my mouth, and it went to the back of my skull. It has nothing to do with holding your breath. It's above that function of your body. It's above that. And it felt like a TV screen, like a computer screen zapping on and off. And it just short-circuited my brain. I didn't last very long at all. And it just turned off.
Did you confess at that point to 9/11? Did you confess to every crime, including killing my cat, under the sun after that? Or would you have? And do you understand that that's maybe not the best way to get to the truth?
Well, I'm sorry. Ask the question again. I guess I'm losing you.
Because is that the best way to find the truth? I mean, would you have confessed? Say you had to go through that, Mancow, I don't know, 60 times in a day. Would you be willing to basically confess to any crime at that point?
Oh, yes. I mean, you hear about anything that was done in Vietnam or any of this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I'm a wimp. Yeah, I would have told you anything.
And I think that kind of might have been what actually happened. See, that's the thing. I don't believe that that's the best way to get to the truth, and I don't trust the government. I don't trust the people that are doing it, as I'm sure you don't. Now then the question becomes, are you ready to do now for the world a vaccine stunt, a similar stunt where you take the swine flu vaccination and see what happens over the coming weeks?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I think this is all ridiculous. This is all manipulation. This is all control of the masses, and it's really frightening. I will tell you that I went to a charity event, Northwestern University, very respected doctors, hundreds of doctors. Very, very interesting to hear doctors talk, and these were top doctors. And they said, look, you want to do a little cocaine? Yeah. You want to smoke a little weed? Yeah. You want to drink? Yeah. Pipe smoking, actually, smoking tobacco, and nobody knows this, or they didn't publish it or make a big deal about it, actually lengthens your life because it's so relaxing. And, you're better off eating, I'm going somewhere with this, I know it doesn't sound like I am, but you're better off having, real sugar as opposed to the chemical stuff. You're better off having heavy cream, real cheese, all these chemicals, all this hydrogenated stuff. Everything is so bad for us. And they said, look, if you have to get it, don't do it in the nose. Don't do the spray in the nose. And there was some talk amongst them that by spraying in the nose, it went airborne and people were actually getting sick. And then others were saying, no, that's not true. But they all did agree that you wanted to get it. You wanted to get the shot, and you wanted to make sure it was the kind. You wanted to tell them, this is just eavesdropping. You wanted to tell the people that you were allergic to eggs so that they gave you a shot that didn't have so many preservatives in it.
Right.
But even the doctors were fighting over whether or not they would get the vaccine.
Well, and many of them haven't, and many first responders have refused to. It kind of blows the whole plan. We were all supposed to line up for this, and of course they kind of did the takeaway close on us, Mancow, where, well, there's not enough vaccine for everybody, So that, of course, makes people want it. We actually found in a discussion at the Council on Foreign Relations where they proposed exactly this kind of thing. We'll have shortages of the vaccine. Everybody will want it, and of course everybody has to take it. And, I've just done an enormous amount of work. I've interviewed a number of top medical experts that say, vaccines are extremely dangerous, especially these kinds of vaccines that are rushed out into the market with no responsibility and no culpability whatsoever except for to, sign the checks and cash the checks.
Well, and of course, the Obama administration, our government, gave these people complete immunity. It has not been properly vetted. You're correct. It hasn't been properly studied. They all did agree. Also, all of these top doctors agreed that seasonal flu vaccines were a complete waste of time. So it is fascinating, and we have to remember how this administration and how all administrations act. They create the problem. We react with fear of the four-letter F word that controls the masses, and they offer the solution. The solution makes them rich and usually involves you and I losing some measure of liberty. So you have to be careful of these bastards, absolutely.
How many times can the government cry wolf and we, the people, just quit believing it? I mean, it's everything. It's terrorism. There's a terrorist behind every bush, or as we say on our show, a bush behind every terrorist. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. There's always some boogeyman that's coming to jump out of the bushes to get us, and I just don't think Americans are even listening to it anymore.
Well, it's fascinating, whether you're talking about Dr. Hassan at Fort Hood, the terrorist who we trained, or Bin Laden, who was our guy. I mean, bizarre watching, just clicking through cable the other day and watching Stallone's Rambo 3 dedicated to the heroes, the Muslim fighters of Afghanistan. These guys were built up by us to fight the Ruskies, right? Noriega, Saddam. It's always our guys. One of the wild ones that people don't talk about is why was Hinckley's family, and this is a fact, look this up, why was Hinckley's family having dinner with Bush's family the night before Reagan was shot?
Yeah, and why was Bush Sr. having breakfast with the ISI in Pakistan and the Bin Ladens the morning of 9/11? I'm sure that...
Well, I mean, we've seen Saddam and Rumsfeld hanging out. We've seen Bush holding hands with the Saudi princes. We make these enemies. So, yes, look, you have to, like Star Wars or any good story, you have to have a good boogeyman. Wag the dog maybe is a better analogy. Yeah, we have to have bad guys. And many times, Timothy McVeigh, Oswald, these are our guys. And we always know about them. And we always know about them. And we always know about them.